Hello everyone, this one's Katharine's Creatures, and this is a series where I get to talk a little bit about and touch base upon various mythological creatures, beast, beings, and the like pulled from lore worldwide. And I always like to preface by saying that I am not a linguist, so if I mispronounce anything along the way, I do apologize in advance. And today I actually wanted to talk about two different entities, and the reason why I'm bundling two together is because there's a particular folklorist who believes that one is kind of a regional variation of the other, though they look very different and their backstories are very different. There is that regional connection, so I'm putting them together. And the first one of these two I'm going to be talking about is the Karnabo. And the Karnabo comes from the Ardennes folklore. It is a creature that is viewed or believed to be the offspring of some kind of supernatural entity. And depending on the local story, this could be anything from a demon to a ghoul. If it's a ghoul, some people say it was one that was 67 years old. And the other side daddy is supposed to be some kind of bohemian traveler that crossed paths with, again, this demon or ghoul. Or occasionally, it's even depicted to be a sorcerer, to be dad. So, interesting parentage. And this creature is, or this entity being, was born with the resemblance of a man. But he has an elephant trunk for a nose and is described to have the eyes of a basilisk. So very, very identifiable. And the Karnabo has the ability as well to breathe some kind of noxious, toxic fumes that can paralyze a man and kill animals that comes across its path. Now, the Karnabo's biggest storyline is one where this young girl gets abducted by the Karnabo and disappears, and no one has ever been able to find her since this abduction. Yet people claim that during thunderstorms, you can hear her moans and the Karnabo's nose trumpeting in the ruckus of the storm. So that's the biggest association with the Karnabo, with folklore. Now, when you go back to the lineage part and talking about the sub-variations, the storylines that say or claim that its dad is this sorcerer who had all these kind of abilities to cast spells and magic, was able, before he left the area, to pass on that ability to utilize spell work, as well as cure this particular kind of grievant disease called whitlow, which is some kind of abscess on the tips of fingers. And so that the Karnabo has this ability to cure whitlow on Good Friday specifically. So interesting, I thought. But going back to the fact that, actually, one more thing before I move on to the next creature. The Karnabo also, one regional variation said that he lived for a long stint at this particular abandoned quarry. And before he moved on, and it was while he was in that quarry, that area, where he abducted this girl. Anywho, moving on to another local variation, supposedly, is a very different creature, at least in my mind, and this one's called the Mahwot. And the Mahwot's description, again, very, very different. And this one looks like some kind of amphibious lizard that's the size of a calf. So big creature that lives in a particular river near, Mousse. I do not know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it's located between a specific town of France called Wibell and a Belgian city, Liège. I do not think I'm pronouncing those correctly, but it's a specific location where the Mahwot exists. And again, this giant amphibious creature that lives in the local water system. And this one's story also is very different because the Mahwot really doesn't mess around with people, from what I have found. He prefers to stay in the river. And if he ever leaves the river, on the rare occasions, it usually is a predictor of some kind of disaster coming forward. And this disaster is not necessarily just ecological or anything. This could be, you know, large wars or some kind of upheaval. So if the Mahwot ever leaves his home, then problems are about to come your way from probably an outside force. Now, I thought that was kind of cool. I outside of the regional, you know, nearness of the two creatures, personally can't tell why one might be a derivative of the other, but wanted to put both of them on here. Thought they were each individually very unique and cool. And if you have any questions about this or anything else, post them in the comments below or reach out to me on any of my social media. And until next time, everyone, Skål.